Alright, I've said my piece about the BNR. Now we're going to go back to trying to play Sweet Brews in Legacy and do our best in the metagame that we've been given. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we're going to be playing a rather strange take on energy. Kevin wanted to brew around Brotherhood Scribe. So we've got two abilities here from this card from the Fallout set. The bottom one is the one that is probably going to happen the most, I think. Whenever you get one or more energy during your turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of turn. So if you are playing with a large number of token creatures and you can get some energy to power them up, that can be a relatively respectable damage boost. The other ability requires metalcraft. Whenever you tap this card, you just get an energy, but you have to have 3 artifacts in order to activate that. So some of our token production is going to happen during combat with Voice of Victory. If Brotherhood Scribe is left back, then the tokens that we're creating can effectively be 2/2s in the combat step, which is a relevant increase in damage. Now, if you are, tapping Brotherhood Scribe to, give one creature +1/+1, that is very clearly not worth it. But when it is 3, 4, 5, 10 creatures getting +1/+1, that's a totally different story, right? I cleaned up Kevin's initial deck list a little bit. I thought 4 Wasteland and 4 Urza Saga in an 18-land deck was pretty greedy, so I trimmed down to 2 Wastelands. I think we still want something to respect, opposing Karakas, opposing Urza Saga, and that sort of stuff. But I do just want to have rock-solid mana in the opening turns of some games. Now, the deck is a little warped because of Brotherhood Scribe. The deck needs to be playing a bunch of artifacts to make this work. And while in game 1 we might be able to come out of the gates quickly enough to steal a bunch of wins from our opponents, we need a different plan for the post-sideboard games, where we can expect the games to go longer when our opponents bring in interaction that might 2-for-1 us or worse. Cards like Wrath of the Skies are going to be very, very, very good against us. So Kevin's plan for that was the One Ring. So these 30 mana sources that we have in this deck can be funneled into the One Ring in slower matchups. And in our sort of fair matchups, we're going to have a little bit of extra removal that we can bring in. Kevin's initial deck had 4x Static Prison in the main. I am kind of mid on that card, so I'm going to split it between Static Prison and Path and just move the swords that were originally in Kevin's sideboard into the main deck here. As far as the sideboard goes, I think I'm going to ignore Oops with this specific deck list and play Rest in Peace. I like the idea of really dominating the fair blue-black match, well, the fair portions, I guess, of the blue-black matchups with Rest in Peace to cover the Reanimators and Goyfs at the same time, and then overload on removal so that the remaining things that make it through aren't going to necessarily kill me. One thing that I want to say here is that I considered Mr. Percy is doing something over there in the corner. Probably not crimes because he's an angel baby, but he's doing something. I did consider building around the other ability. So Kevin's build here essentially builds around the top ability, the metalcraft ability, right? But I started drafting this up where instead I build around the bottom ability and I just put extra ways to gain energy into the deck and then use Mockingbird so that I can copy Guide of Souls and Amped Raptor and lean further into Brotherhood Scribe being good in that capacity. And I think this might end up being a better version of building around Brotherhood Scribe, but the original version was mono white and clearly built around the artifact side of this deck, so I am not going to explore that further. This is kind of a half-crafted deck list. I didn't finish building the sideboard or anything, but if you want to, I didn't even finish building the main deck, honestly. But if you want to mess around with this, feel free to explore further. And with that, let's go ahead and get into our video here, folks. If you need some magic cards, check out toamagic.com. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order, and I love shopping with these folks. I just placed an order for a bunch of cards for my Kefka Court Mage deck. That is also up on my Mox field if you want to check that out. And my experience shopping at this site was very, very nice. And that is not always true of other online retailers. With that being said, let's battle. So we are working with an excellent 5-card hand here that I think I am going to keep. This is the downside of trying to build around the metalcraft ability as opposed to the secondary ability. If we end up with a couple of artifacts, the Mox Opals could let us play some cards ahead of schedule, but I really don't know that that is going to happen consistently. And we do get some upside for having double basic planes in the opener here. Ooh, shit. Well, I mean, yeah, and yeah. I immediately gain my energy, so I immediately get a cat. Next turn, I get to play Brotherhood Scribe. And we are gonna kind of pop off here, and hopefully we just power through the speed that my opponent is capable of playing at. We've got boots for Urza Saga construct tokens in a minute. I have my own boots, so play the Scribe, trigger this, which in turn triggers this guy. Let's just always yield to that. So these are going to increase in power. We're going to go to punchies. We are going to punchies. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to put this on the Ocelot Pride for the extra lifelink damage. So that's 16, then 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we're not to Metalcraft if I play a Mox Opal, so I'm just going to hold it. Or not Metalcraft, City's Blessing. Cool. We're absolutely going aggro here. That's a Tabernacle, which is most unfortunate. I don't have Metalcraft to activate this ability. I mean, I'm just keeping Ocelot Pride Guide of Souls here. But now this whole, like, Mox Opal situation, like, these are just 4 dead cards that I can't deploy. But luckily we can't be wastelanded off of one of these basic planes and make it so I can only keep one of these. Alright, opponent's at 8. I will make a friend. My friend will get sacrificed next turn. My opponent's about to lose a land. They're going for a Mox Diamond. Junking another Urza Saga. There's half of a Dark Depths combo. And was that Otawara? That was Otawara. I just need to replay this. I'm going to sacrifice this cat. My opponent had to do Otawara with that timing, by the way, because I had a floating mana from Urza's Saga. So I will Ocelot Pride. I will go to punchies. I will attack. I will just do the thing immediately and push the damage. Ooh, I am at 34, though. That's the good news. I'm not going to pay for that. I will pay for these. I just want to draw more mana here. Denied. So my attacks into this are not good. 1, 2, stage depths. I unfortunately will just be passing the turn here. This gives my opponent the chance to make their 20/20. And I have 4 on the crackback. Don't have 5 on the crackback. That's a life from the loam. That's pretty bad. Are you chilling or are you attacking? You are chilling. Alright. So I'm gonna pay for these. Okay, Chrome Mox gets me another creature. So I imprint a Voice of Victory. Not going to get me another creature right now, though, is it? I don't have Metalcraft yet. I think what I'm going to do is take out the life from the loam. That's not a future problem. Cast a Mox Opal for a mana. I'm thinking about whether or not I just want to cycle this to try to hit Swords to Plowshares or a 1-drop. I think I am into that. Get Ancient Den. That's actually fine. I've got Metalcraft, meaning that I can cast this, keep that one, play out Voice of Victory, and call it good there. I will make some more friends with Ocelot Pride, getting me more energy. So now I have 3 for an attack next turn. My opponent has access to Otawara. Alright, there's a stage. There's an immediate wasteland, which is fine. So if my opponent activates Urza Saga, I think they live. Oh shit, Mox Opal isn't live anymore. Fuck! Wow, that was a big mistake on my end. Okay, I've made the mistake. I've just gotta live with it. I think I get rid of Ocelot Pride here. Like, very obvious mistake. Alright, so you're gonna Ottawara the Voice of Victory. Sure. Now I get to turn this on again and play this. There's a very large difference between this being a cat token and a Ocelot Pride here, obviously. Alright, say Levy. My opponent gets a Construct token for another Mox Diamond. There's another Wasteland, which is going to shut me off Mox Opal again. Wow, a Miri's Guile. Haven't seen one of those in play in a hot minute. Alright, so if I attack and give this flying, this gets blocked. I get in for 3, block, 4, and 5. I think I am still good. Let's just confirm. This gets blocked. This gets flying. Gets in for 3. 1 token gets blocked, 4, and 5. I am good. My opponent can't cast spells. I do have the appropriate amount of energy. So make 2 friends. Yeah. We limped over the finish line there. It's a little cleaner if I don't make the mistake with the cat token, though. But we got a little lucky there, I suppose, as a whole. So I would like to be able to answer that 2020. That feels important. Conceptually, my role is the beatdown here. And what I'm thinking about is whether I want to play the One Ring. It is hard to get in play, but it is very strong once it is in play because my opponent is not the best at dealing me damage. Tabernacle's a little tough. I might go down some mana here. I don't want to trim 4 creatures to get these in. I could do something like this. Then I go down on legendary creatures for Adeline purposes. Having gone down, I guess I'm neutral on artifacts. Some of the artifacts just cost more. This feels weird. I don't think this is quite right. Looks good from this hand, though. Yavimaya into Exploration. That's one of my opponent's stronger opening options for sure. I think I am more interested in potentially drawing a card than in having 1 extra energy next turn. We'll just see how crazy my opponent's hand is. Wasteland's great. Again, basic planes, very good. I am totally fine taking more of those here. I just want to boots this. I think I just want to boots this because I'm not gaining any energy immediately anyway. So let's just throw that there. Oh, it's Dismember. Sure. Do I get a card? Are you going to pay? Like, where are you at? Like, construct versus card here? Card. Okay. So next turn, I get to play Guide of Souls into Brotherhood Scribe, and then hopefully just play the One Ring after that, and undo a lot of damage from the construct tokens. Because I'm going to get hit pretty hard here, assuming a Swiftfoot boot or Lava Spur Boots happens. More Wasteland, more Urza Saga. Not great. So this gets equipped. I'm going to get hit for 7. I might need to play Path to X. Oh, fuck yeah. Ward 1. My opponent probably makes a token and equips. So I can get this one and the one that they are about to make for 2 mana. I'm going to go ahead and play a Guide of Souls with 1 of my mana. Then maybe if I miss on the land drop next turn for the One Ring. Okay, they are not going for the second one. In which case, I will just path the 1 with Ward for mana efficiency in future turns. Yeah. 1 basic forest in play already. And there's not another. Great. Make another one. I will take 3. Going to 10. Opponent is not equipping. I guess we're going to go Voice of Victory here for the potential that it has. Just always yield to those. Got Path again for a token, which I think is better than equipping Voice with Lava Spur Boots, because these tokens are going to be very big. My opponent probably makes 2 constructs this turn, and thus we'll have 3 theoretical things attacking. There's a Mox Diamond. Fanghorn Forest? Oh, it's Yavimaya. Sure. So there's the equip. I will path that one. No basic land card, but my opponent could, in theory, have another land drop in hand and attack with a bunch of stuff. Negative, but I'm taking 8 here. Life's bad. Oh fuck, I'm taking 10 here. Life's still bad. I think I need these bodies. That's kind of cruel, honestly. Okay, so I can gain 1 life, can gain 3 total life, go to 4. One of these is still lethal. Block, block, block. So I could triple block and die to the haste off this one. Okay. We just did not get to the 4th mana for the One Ring there, which I think would have handily won us the game. Because then I get to start attacking in the air with a flyer, offset the life loss from the first couple of constructs, then play a second One Ring to fog again. Conceptually, I think these are solid still. I'm going to try to run this back. That is a single land. How does it look, though? Chrome Mox, Imprint Path, Urza Saga, play Ocelot Pride, and Lava Spur Boots. Then I basically need to rip 2 lands. I don't think I like this. Whereas this I like. I'm going to get rid of the path. This is removal spells, assuming that we get to it, which hopefully is a safe assumption. If my opponent opens up on Exploration and 2 pieces of the combo immediately, I'll be sad. I'm going to do this and see if I get Dismembered immediately. I don't. These triggers aren't going to do anything. 19. I think I'm just going to Wasteland. I think I just want to set my opponent back. And the deck is light on colored mana. If I get a crop rotation here, like I get a crop rotation here. Yep, I mean, that's annoying. I'm going to lose a Guide of Souls to this. Then hopefully draw a 1-drop off the top. Oh, and Dismember. Yikes. A Lotus Petal. Well, that gets me to the One Ring next turn. That's not the end of the world, but Tabernacle is obviously very good against us. No colored mana, so like this did absolutely do something. Thinking about which land drop I want to do. I think it's just Ancient Den. I don't think I want the disappearing land immediately in the face of Tabernacle. There's a Wasteland. Opponent still has no colored mana, so the things like Life from the Loam are just not online. We draw. Alright. We'll do the Scribe. I'll do the Ocelot Pride. And pass the turn. That is not colored mana. Opponent can copy an Urza Saga, yeah. I'm going to assume that I have better things to do with my mana than activate Urza Saga. Lose 2. Surgical Extraction on Wasteland. Well, there's one more of them in my deck, so I am good with that. And it does go to exile. I activate this. Okay. So, yeah. That's City's Blessing, which is a lot less good than normal. If I get an energy and give this +1/+1, that's the same amount of damage, and I gather a resource for later. Go to Punchies. And I will make a lot of cats that are going to die. Saga ticks up, and my opponent concedes the game. Tabernacle, very, very annoying against what my deck is trying to do, but the sideboard juke of the One Ring to power through slower matchups absolutely did its thing. This is a card that really can solo games. Not just in this format, in like Commander too. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand Commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. I'm an artifact away from greatness here. I think I'm going to keep the hand. I need either an artifact or a land, I think, for this hand to become good. We've got Polluted Delta and pass. So hopefully my Esper Sentinel resolves and does some work and just doesn't immediately eat a Fatal Push. Or alternatively, just my opponent entombs. And then I am sad. There's the fetch. There's the surveil land. It is a daze. A cantrip here means that I get to draw an extra card, which is really important right now because, again, I need an extra land or an artifact, and that's great. My next decision point is going to be, am I playing Voice of Victory next turn? And I think I am. I think I want Voice of Victory in play so that Swords to Plowshares on my own turn resolves. Esper Sentinel is the first one each turn, so my opponent can now cantrip again to do whatever they want without paying the tax. And that was a relatively fast shuffle. Ooh. Yeah, I'm not interested in Urza's Saga right now, I don't think. We're just going to go bam into Voice of Victory. My opponent dazes or forces. I get to draw another card off of this. Very nice. A new Esper Sentinel. Can't pay for that. I don't think I show the Mox Opal yet. I'll send in for 1. Now, I will say the island going back to hand does make it harder for my opponent to pay for the Esper Sentinel tax. So we have that going for us. But Entomb plus Reanimate can happen at any given time. Ooh, we're not going that direction. It might be like Doomsday instead, especially if my opponent is paying that tax. Yeah, it is Doomsday. So now I just want to aggro my opponent out. I am not great at interacting against the Doomsday pile. There's technically like Swords to Plowshares for the Thassa's Oracle. But I think a lot of the time my opponent builds a pile where that isn't relevant. Let's see if they've got like another color or anything interesting here. I imagine this is just a personal tutor build. Yeah, okay. So it's not the LED consider pile. Ooh, Wasteland. That I'm definitely willing to play over Adeline. So I will go Esper Sentinel, 2 artifacts in play. Mox Opal, 3 artifacts in play. Scribe into Adeline seems like lethal. If my opponent's at 7, is Adeline alone lethal next turn? Actually, Scribe is 6 next turn, because this itself doesn't attack, so I would have 1, 2, plus token, 3 attacking, plus 1 on each, 6. I'm only dealing 1 this turn. That's not actually lethal. If I play Adeline now, it is lethal. I think Wasteland is better. I'm going to Wasteland. I might be holding up swords here on the off chance that it is relevant. I will send in for 1. Opponent's at 7. Opponent is at 5. Opponent is at 4. There's an Oracle. Trigger on the stack. Attempt swords. Oh shit, it worked. Very nice. The issue is that I have 4 damage right now. Assuming I play Adeline. I guess I am hoping to draw another Swords to Plowshares for the next Thassa's Oracle that comes down. Yeah. Send it. Adeline trigger. Opponent is at 1. I will make some friends. And we'll see if my opponent's got it this turn. There's Cycling Edge of Autumn, so that was not a Street Wraith. And there is no non-creature spell for me to draw with Esper Sentinel, unfortunately. Lost that one by the narrowest of margins. GG. We are just 100% the beatdown here. Soul Guide Lantern doesn't do much. Protection from Everything doesn't do much. Deafening Silence is pretty mid. I might, like, play a Pithing Needle for metalcraft-based reasons, and, like, it can technically hit some things like Street Wraith. It's very unexciting, and I'll probably play Deafening Silence. It's not amazing, but it does some things versus Dark Ritual baselines. And I think, looking at trimming 2 of these cards. This one is slower. This one is neat if everything works out perfectly. I think I'm going to do a 1-1 here. Also, I could swap swords for path there. So this will be metalcraft. So Ancient Den, Ocelot Pride, play. I could just drop both of these on turn 1, but then I lose metalcraft, which is awkward. I think I have to maintain metalcraft. I think I'll keep it. This isn't amazing, though. I think I am going to go ahead and just play all of these out now. And drop my Ocelot Pride. Opponent Force of Wills. That is not great for me. Again, I'm going to try to maintain metalcraft. Awkward versus a Thoughtseize, though. Beautiful. It's very strange that the way this is playing out, I am putting all of these artifact acceleration cards into my deck, but the constraints of Brotherhood Scribe are kind of making it so they can't really use them. We may just bottom out and die here. I don't think we want the One Ring in this matchup or anything, but damn, it would be good in this spot. Yikes. My opponent can now safely surveil. Don't love that that went on top. I think we are in Doomsday range, folks. Yeah, there it is. Alright, my opponent has sealed their fate, and I drew a blank. Ahem. Yeah. Oh, I've got nothing over here. I'll lose the swords because that's technically interaction, but I imagine I now lose the game instantly. Oh, I don't. Oh, that's good. Wasteland. Fuck. We're gonna hold that as a bluff. The old aggro deck did not do much aggroing this time. Now my opponent has persistent blue sources. They've got the Oracle. I don't have a removal spell here. Even if I did, they'd have another Oracle on top of that. We lost that one handily. GG's. My hand's a keep here. I have Guide of Souls into Voice of Victory, but the artifact mana in this deck is not really looking impressive. Feel pretty confident about that after the first couple of rounds here. Oh, it's a Tundra! Or maybe some sort of Esper Vial deck. Could also just be a Nadu Breakfast variant. What about Chrome Mox? Ancient Den, Chrome Mox. Mox Opal is metalcraft online if I am willing to give up Swords of Plowshares. It's awkward because Swords of Plowshares is probably going to be good, but like attacking with Voice of Victory and giving it flying on turn 2 is also pretty damn good. Alright. So we'll go Mox, Imprint, Swords, Ancient Den, Metalcraft is on, Guide of Souls, into Voice of Victory. It is Dazable, and we can't really do it in the other order if we want that extra energy. So now I have nothing, just hard nothing, and that is what it is. But hopefully we draw something Endwalker? Is it a fucking brainstorm? Okay. Marsh Flats to shuffle. It is another Tundra, not a black source, and a Swords. Yeah, I've got hard nothing here. I am pretty much ready to concede this game, but I'm going to wait a little while longer to see what my opponent is playing. Like, we saw the Strix on the pitch, so we know it is Esper. But I would like to get some confirmation of the Dirtle before I go to sideboarding. Alright. Yeah. It's resolved, but I don't think that means much here. Like, I don't get the immediate attack. Adeline does not have to attack to trigger her ability. The Bowmasters is good to know about. I'm still probably bringing the One Ring in for this matchup, but it is good to get confirmation that that is in the deck. Alright, opponent is just passing the turn. I've drawn another blank. We're just getting in there. I do have Vigilance here. I can do offense and defense at the same time, but there's a decent chance that I just get ambushed here by something. Yep. Okay. I think I am good conceding here. This is just going to eat my Adeline and then start drawing my opponent cards. Like, I know they don't have much left, but I have fully bottomed out here. My opponent's deck is going to get better and better over time, whereas mine is going to get worse and worse. I don't have anything that brings me back. This is a this is a wave 1 deck in the first game, where if the first wave of stuff that I have doesn't win the game, I lose. Then we get to do this shit in post-sideboard games. Probably this as well. I'm gonna go Soul Guide Lantern out here and assume that the artifact mana is enough to fetch. I am thinking about whether or not I am cutting Mox Opal despite bringing in the One Ring, or whether I want to trim something like this. I think I want to do this, and get a Pithing Needle for Aether Vial in there. Ancient Den, Chrome Mox, Imprint, Ocelot, Pride. It can't be an Esper Sentinel because that's an artifact. Play double Esper Sentinel. I think I'm down. And then we just hope that the One Ring carries in the mid-game. Orcish Bowmasters will be batshit insane versus this board. It'll kill an Esper Sentinel. And then my opponent can just play a non-creature spell and force me to draw and kill the other Esper Sentinel. And then it will also cover the One Ring. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Ocelot Pride under. Esper Sentinel. I got some boosties. Thank you, Magic Online. Esper Sentinel has resolved. Play more other Esper Sentinel. And pass. If I hit a land drop, I will probably not play Urza Saga immediately. I'll play the other land and then work towards the One Ring. And if I don't, I can play an Urza Saga game for a few turns while hopefully Esper Sentinel draws me some cards. That's a Tamiyo. That does not trigger my Esper Sentinels, unfortunately. Guide of Souls is okay. Like, Guide of Souls, Urza Saga to trigger it is not the end of the world. I'm maybe not going to get the maximum value out of any of my cards, but hopefully this is fine still. I do have a decent number of X1, or rather, 1 power creatures here. That can be awkward if this ends up flipping to the Planeswalker side. Very happy to see a tapped land there. Alright, Tamiyo is attacking. That clue is apparently worth more than 1 life. Brotherhood Scribe. That's absolutely not bad here. I play it, and then I just attack for 6 immediately. But it opens up a counter spell. It's a little weird. I think it's better to just make the Urza Saga Construct token. Even if I make my thing, I don't have enough energy to pay for my ability here, so my opponent's just going to take 3. Brotherhood Scribe may end up going... Okay, that's annoying, but fine. May end up going under a Chrome Mox that I fetch off of Urza's Saga. Alright, Tamiyo is being held back. I will make my thing. Gets me an energy. Just always yield to those. Ooh. Yeah. I think I'm going to go bam. Get my energy. Get the Chrome Mox. Imprint under Scribe. Attempt to path Baleful Strix. And if my opponent counters, I will get to draw at least 1 card. They do not counter. Basic Island is in the deck. We'll see if my opponent has a Brainstorm to do a cool little, like, block this, Brainstorm, flip this. Og. Looks like that's what's happening. No, just a chump. Okay. We're looking pretty darn good all of a sudden. Like, we could have a Planeswalker? Like, a very relevant Planeswalker because the plus fogs 3 separate attacks. Hopefully we don't eat something like Wrath of the Skies, though. That would be a disaster. Fairy, do I get to draw 2? Draw 1. Draw 2. Very nice. Opponent can junk a Construct. I have 6, 7, 8, 9 showing damage. A little more after that. Yeah, Thoughtseize is fine. I have drawn 4 cards off 2 Esper Sentinels in this turn cycle. One ring is down. Another Tundra. Use Swords a Construct token 2. Prismatic Ending, sure. Now we've got decisions. If I play Guide of Souls, I get to grow something. I think I just want to attempt to resolve the One Ring, though. Card's dumb, and I have Swords to Plowshares for a Bowmaster that comes down. So, yeah. Resolves. I don't have to worry about Thoughtseize. I can just draw now. Lotus Petal. That's insane as a draw, actually. Because that means that I get to do this. So now I'll go to Punchies. Guide of Souls attacks Teferi. Esper Sentinels attack your face. I'm going to say yes here. Grow an Esper Sentinel. So Teferi's dead. Opponent is at 6. Facing down. A lot of really scary stuff. Again, it needs to be some crazy sweeper. Like, a Wrath of the Skies that gets to kill my Chrome Moxen and stuff would be pretty disgusting. Otherwise, I don't really know that just the regular value creatures like Baleful Strix are going to be enough to get through all of this. Like, the One Ring is gross. Another Baleful Strix. I'm going to set a stop here. I'm going to go ahead and wasteland my opponent off of a mana immediately. Yeah, you can float. So there's a Bowmasters. That can resolve. And then I'm just going to force the action on that immediately. And then I can go to my turn normally and just bury my opponent with the One Ring as I intended. Wow, those were terrible draws. I'll take out a Tundra. And then I think I'm just going to chill here. I don't really want to trade any of those bodies for Strix right now. Another land drop from my opponent. That means they can get white mana back. There's a Goyf. Hopefully I just draw a removal spell for that. I'll take a little damage from the ring. Wow, deck. Come on. Hopefully not another Bowmaster. Ball. Oh, they didn't actually have it. Sure. That's great. That's probably next turn, though. I will go bam. Past Adeline. I get energy. Adeline does cool stuff on attack. I think now that this has resolved, I am okay swordsing this. You can crack your clue. I think I'm willing to trade a Guide of Souls for a Baleful Strix on board. So I want to resolve the Adeline trigger first, get more energy. Then I say yes to this. And since this is just going to trade with a Death Toucher anyway, I just put these onto a token. And then this Orc Army token can't block that. Oh wow, opponent's not willing to trade a Strix. Another land drop. See what opponent can cobble together here. Surveil land. There's a Fatal Push targeting Adeline. Caracas Adeline was a thing, but I didn't think it was worth doing in comparison to just removing the Goyf. Okay, sure. And my opponent can play a Tameo, which I can bounce with Caracas if that seems like a good use of my mana. Ocelot Pride. That's going to go wild. So let's draw a bunch of cards. Could have been better, honestly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once I play one more permanent, I think I'm just going to refresh this. Draw a card. Play an Ocelot Pride. Fantastic. And now I kind of fully think I am the beatdown. I'm fine trading you for a Strix. I'm fine trading you for a Strix. What if I lose both Guide of Souls? Then my opponent takes a bunch of damage. Yeah, I think I'm just okay getting in there. I'll say yes. I'll put some counters on one Guide of Souls. Okay, it looks like my opponent is going to take 3 damage here. And then I still get to do some Ocelot Pride, Guide of Souls things. My hand is very bad, but my board is good. I have the One Ring. I have another Esper Sentinel coming. Tameo can do Tameo things. Crack a clue. Caracas is fine. That's fine. Opponent doesn't have black mana available for Bowmaster. And my opponent just concedes. I mean, they put up a damn good fight. But this card is dumb. If the artifact mana in this deck accomplish anything, it is powering this out in the post-sideboard games. So is 6 answers to the Goyfs enough? Because those connecting a single time is very, very bad to me. I can go up to 8, which I think is correct to do. I don't think the Scribe is great in this matchup, because there's going to be a lot of turns where I don't really want to attack anyway, because my opponent just has like Death Touchers and things that wall it. No. So I think a couple of those covering flipped Tameo and Goyf put me in a good position. I don't think this one's perfect, but I think I am going to be keeping it. Orcish Bowmasters, again, just very, very good against this entire deck. Alright, no immediate play from my opponent. I'm going to get an Esper Sentinel out there. Opponent will brainstorm in response. And I'm honestly just going to put this in play. My opponent has Thoughtseize. I think I'm just going to respect those sorts of cards by playing it out. It's not like it's going to eat a Prismatic Ending here. The Esper Sentinel would be a much better target for that. Okay, cool. It is Baleful Strix and not Orcish Bowmasters, and I'm very, very happy about that. Swords. I don't really want to attack with Adeline anyway. I think I'm good with just doing that and sending in. Using the swords aggressively means that I'm worse versus Bowmasters, but my opponent just had a fantastic opportunity to play a Bowmasters in a better way. I don't think they have it right now, unless it was their draw 4 turn. Alright, there is a Goyf. And hopefully that doesn't matter, because this card resolves. Yeah? Nice. Now we fog the first attack and then hopefully dig towards removal. Opponent brainstorms. I draw another land, which is not really what I want here. Again, very, very vulnerable to anything that can deal with all artifacts at the same time here. Like, another land. That's not Bowmasters. It's a Teferi, sure. Teferi plussing. You've got it. I mean, that means I get at least 2 more draws out of the One Ring safely. And I found another One Ring. Cool. I am going to draw these while it is safe. Okay. If I cast this, I have 7 cards remaining in hand. I'll have 6 once I play another card. I think I'm into the Urza Saga tokens here over Adeline. They're just really big. Really, really, really big. I think I will throw down an Ocelot Pride and pass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, the Goyf is not getting through that. There is a prismatic ending. My opponent pays. They take out my cats. Caracas is fine, although it makes this Adeline worse. Goyf sends in. I will attempt to make a friend. If my opponent has a removal spell here. They do. I think this is just where I cash in the Esper Sentinel to not let my opponent get extra cards. I don't want them to have more looks at a Bowmaster. They're just going to bounce my 1 ring. That's fair. And a Tamiyo. Wasteland's fine. I think I am just into doing this. It is a large body. I think just Chrome Mox. Imprint the Adeline. That's not great because of Caracas. And I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is going to go down a little bit in the short term. That doesn't matter unless there's Force of Will plus blue card, though. And I will just keep drawing. Another Chrome Mox doesn't do anything for me right now. Totally fine next turn. Swords? Swords, sure. But until my opponent starts getting in with this, I don't think I'm too scared. The Tamiyo Clue is a little annoying. But I think I am outvaluing my opponent's value-oriented deck still. Rack Clue. Yep. That is exactly the sort of card that I was terrified of. I think I am just fully and singularly dead to that card. I have 2 Static Prisons to answer it. Yep. My opponent is going to win this one off a sideboard card. That's okay, that's what sideboard cards are for. But it is a little disappointing. So what I imagine happens here is that my opponent, yeah, I'm comfortable conceding there, finds an Orcish Bowmasters was going to be the end of that thought, and then just like starts connecting with both of these, and I handily lose. GG's. Alright, I'm gonna keep this one here. I really wish this Wasteland was just a second white source for Guide of Souls and Ocelot Pride on turn 1, but I don't get to live in that timeline. Or do I? It's very costly to live in that timeline. What if I Voice of Victory on turn 1 instead? What if I Voice of Victory on turn 1 instead? Oh? I would be so happy with this Chrome Mox getting countered. I have a second one that I don't need. Fuck yeah. I will, however, make sure this second Chrome Mox does not get dazed. It is my only white source as of right now. I'm going to put Adeline under and not the Scribe. The Scribe is a guaranteed turn 3 play. There's a Force of Will. I would still like to draw a land to get to do both of these in the same turn cycle. Another basic island. Petty Theft on the Chrome Mox. Sure. Well, we are fighting over this fucking Chrome Mox pretty damn hard. I think Adeline still is going under. I'm gonna guide. Yeah, this might be a mono blue tempo deck. I don't want these extra scribes, I don't think. I think I just want to get this going. I think I'll attack. There's some weird punishes like Hull Breacher that could happen, but I think I ignore that because this game is potentially going to go south pretty quickly. My opponent's starting to get to enough stuff in graveyard where a decently sized Murktide Regent could happen. That's just another land drop though. I'll be taking 3 here. Well, I was really and truly planning on playing this, but it is very hard to say no to getting that going, because that is going to get gross with Ocelot Pride. I'm going to say yes. I think I'm going to value the lifelink here, and getting this outside of range of Bowmasters if my opponent is not actually mono blue is cool, but I suspect very strongly that they are mono blue. I'll get my cat and 2 more energy. Yeah. Opponent fetches. Not up to the City's Blessing. This would deal a lot of damage next turn, right? Because I would play this, double trigger Guide of Souls, and then everything gets +2/+2. Disgusting. There's another land drop. The Ponder did not shuffle. That can only block flyers, which I guess it can. actually block something. Oh, it's just getting in there. 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 damage showing. This is not live. I don't know if that matters. So there's the scribe. Okay, so it's happening. Let's just yield to that. So all my friends get big. The Ocelot Pride by itself is a 5/5. I imagine there is some sort of dismember bounce nonsense that's going to happen here. Gain control. Okay, that's annoying. So I attack in... I just play another Brotherhood Scribe next turn when this is not a 5/5. My opponent's effectively at 15 life. If I attack, one of these gets blocked. I get in for 9. Yeah, we'll just play another Scribe next turn and wait this out. They had to play that prior to me turning it sideways, so it would not be tapped. Florian Revealed is good. Just does my opponent die to board? Weird game of Magic. Okay, opponent is just going to get in there for 3, which I think is fine. They get a friend. They don't have the City's Blessing, but they're pretty close, honestly. So I will now play a Scribe. Could get forced. I do get forced. Oh no, I get dismembered instead. Sure. And one of those resolves, and then I get 2 sets of these. So currently this can't block anything. So I just get in, one of these gets blocked, my opponent takes 9 and is dead. Confirm, block, 3, 6, 9. Yep, don't use the ability. Then say no, and my opponent concedes. That was surprisingly tight. The Archmage's Charm was quite scary. So my opponent is mono blue tempo. Lots of counter magic. Do I want the One Rings versus the Spell Pierce deck? Is kind of the question. I think I always want Paths. I think I never want Soul Guide. Like, it technically does some stuff, but I don't think I want it all that badly. I've been consistently cutting my Mox Opals. I think that card is underperforming. And that would mean I would need to trim one other card here. Maybe like one Adeline. I'm going to assume that with some extra cards off the top, this ends up working out. Get rid of that stop as well. I don't usually need that. And a Tamiyo. Don't want to draw that. I think this is just remove the Tamiyo before it draws any cards or before my opponent can brainstorm to flip it, even if this gives my opponent more short-term mana. And I don't think it is worth getting rid of an Adeline to play a Brotherhood Scribe. Ooh, there was going to be the immediate brainstorm. I'm not the best at answering that. I didn't board in the Static Prisons or the Pithing Needle. So Tamiyo will go up to 4 immediately, and is quite threatening. I have continued to draw more mana, which is really unfortunate for me. I think I need to play Adeline here. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. One also has Dress Downs for Urza Saga Construct tokens. So that's just Tamiyo plus. Oh, deck. This is not it. When I kept the opening hand, I knew I needed more off the top. But, this is the cost of this deck being roughly 50% mana. We have some explosive early game turns, but when we don't hit the One Ring, our mid to late game is lacking. Was that just draw 2? Yep, draw 2. Another land drop, Tamiyo to 8, and this is not giving me immediate power. I'm going to concede with Tamiyo ultimating. Winning the game is trivial from there from my opponent. I probably need more answers to Tamiyo, just kind of watching how that went. That did not feel good. Yes. I think Ocelot Pride is Chrome Mox food here. Throw that under. Play Plains. Play Voice. Gets a Force of Will if my opponent has it, making it more likely that the One Ring resolves next turn. And if the One Ring doesn't resolve, hopefully we just run away with the game with Urza Saga tokens. So yeah. If the One Ring doesn't resolve, playing this land is fully correct. And since my opponent is a Daze deck, I think I'm going to hedge, even if this is slightly worse if the One Ring does resolve. I wish it does. So, now hopefully we do more disgusting things with our One Ring than our opponent does with Tamiyo. Opponent missed the clue for attacking there. They can plus up to 4, and just pass the turn. Scribe is kind of whatever. I'll draw my cards. I want to... Nope. Yeah. Yeah. Now we've got a Pithing Needle for this. I don't think this is worth giving up the artifact mana for. Cameo to 6. Land drop 3. Dress down can be very, very good on the Urza Saga construct tokens. And I'm going to probably assume that that ends up happening. Cool. I am going to make the other one. There is a Dismember on the active one in response. That probably tells me that my opponent does not have Dress Down. Otherwise, they wait and clear both. I could potentially just not get Pithing Needle here. I think I'm just going to get it anyway. I don't know. There's Brazen Borrower for Pithing Needle. I guess there's also Brazen Borrower for this. I'm just going to get this and name Tamiyo. And that was good enough for my opponent. The One Ring carries another match. The Game 1 deck is pretty mediocre, but the Game 2 and 3 deck is very, very much carried by the One Ring. So this is another one of those Mox Opal is dead hands, and I have to consider whether or not I think this 5-card hand is good enough. It goes either Plains or Ancient Den, Guide of Souls, Brotherhood Scribe, and then this gets to attack as a 2/3, which is fine, but like both of these are dead cards, and I don't know that this is better than mulliganing. Because one removal spell on Guide of Souls makes the entire 7-card hand fall apart. Alright, with this one I can at least throw back the Mox Opal, and this becomes a keep. I think I lead on Voice of Victory on turn 1, imprinting Brotherhood Scribe. In the dark, you could make the call to put Swords to Plowshares under Chromox instead. But I think there's just too many blue-black decks floating around the format that Swords is very, very, very good against. You want to do that. If Voice of Victory and Guide of Souls stick, this is already enough power to be respectable. Spire of Industry. Dark Ritual. The rest takes a Swords. Dark Ritual. We're doing some sort of storm nonsense. Are we beseeching? Is this just fucking Adnaz? 5 mana? Oh no, it is Beseech. So presumably a Gaia's Will here just kills us, right? Yeah, so there is the Gaia's Will. It went to exile very, very quickly. So my opponent gets to replay all of their mana. And there's the Beseech with a Storm of 12, which will absolutely kill us. I will concede to that. Now, luckily, unlike Oops All Spells, the counterplay against this deck is much better. So, for example, if I just have a turn 1 Deafening Silence, my opponent really can't win through that, and they will have to answer that. Rest in Peace is fine. Static Prison, I could consider playing. It can take out some artifact mana that is played out. It would be unimpressive. Swords can go here. Some amount of this nonsense can probably get trimmed. It's just kind of a question how much. I could also consider playing the One Ring. The One Ring just fogs versus tendrils, which is reasonable. Yeah. I trim one card to get to this point, and then go after some number of these. I think I'm fine with Mox Opals in this matchup. This matchup is just going to be so fast. And I think being able to do some things like drop a Rip on turn 1 could be relevant. So I need to keep a couple creatures or play Static Prison or artifact mana that is played out through Deafening Silence. I think I'm going to keep a Brotherhood Scribe and do the Static Prison thing. Chromox can't imprint Esper Sentinel. I don't think this hand is good enough to keep. Ancient Den, Esper Sentinel, Mox Opal. It maybe plays the One Ring next turn. I think I just mulligan this. The Deafening Silence openers are very, very strong. I think I'm willing to keep this one. And I think we're going to ignore Static Prison here. This does a relevant play on turn 1. It is not an amazing play. It is still possible to naturally storm through a Rest in Peace. But this does shut off some of the easier lines. Basic Swamp. Thoughtseize takes my only threat. And that was a basic on top of that, so my Wasteland is not live. Such is life. I'll be passing the turn here. I have something very good to do in 2 turns, theoretically. Another basic. There's a Wishclaw Talisman. This is the sort of thing that the Static Prisons would be good against. Lol, lol, lol. Alright. I imagine the Wishclaw Talisman is only really usable if my opponent can combo off. Wow, they have so many more basics than I was expecting. Because they were playing Spire of Industry as a part of their mana base. I was expecting this deck to be greedier in that regard. Let's see if I am dead. It has 3 mana actively available. Ooh, that's a lot of mana. So Infernal Tutor, crack for 6. We might just be able to naturally Infernal Tutor chain to victory here. Where's my Storm counter? There we go. Storm of 5 for an ad nause. The Tendrils is now in hand. Storm is 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Storm is lethal if opponent gets to enough starting mana to cast Tendrils. And between Dark Ritual and Cabal Ritual, we are there. So my opponent successfully stormed off, and I can see the onboard win. I will concede here. Oh, that's the end of the league already. That means we have a 2-3 finish here. All right, so Kevin, what do we think of the overall idea here? The Scribe is what I would consider a high variance card. It is synergistic with the Guide of Souls in the deck, and when that works out, it can be good. However, within the context of Legacy, as often as possible, when you are playing some sort of stompy deck, you want your threats to be singularly good, and Brotherhood Scribe is not that. I think this deck would fare better without at least some of this artifact mana. I boarded out Mox Opal in most of the rounds for right or for wrong. I will say that the One Ring felt pretty good. Obvious statement is obvious. That card is busted, has been banned from multiple formats, is a game changer in Commander. I think the One Ring is really the thing that got us to a lot of our wins. I think this deck is low enough to the ground that you don't need 30 mana sources. That just, frankly, felt like too much. So at a minimum, if I was going to play this again, I would cut the 4 Mox Opal and bring the One Ring into the main deck. And then I would be thinking about these 2 creatures and whether or not you can do better than them. Like, there's obviously other fine white creatures in Legacy that you can think about. You could go a Stoneforge Mystic route. You could go a Felia and get a few more blink targets route. Going into another color to get Amped Raptor and maybe Mockingbird as well, so that you can have more things that create energy to give you synergy with the Brotherhood Scribe might be good. I will say, I think my gut feeling that the bottom ability was stronger than the top ability is correct. I think the Anthem effect that you can get from this, especially with like Voice of Victory on attack, can be pretty reasonable. But another problem here is that we just had so many artifacts that when our opponent had a Null Rod effect, like the entire deck shut down from an otherwise nearly unlosable board. But I think the Null Rods and the Wrath of the Skies and things of that nature are going to be incredibly good against this deck. It helps a bit if you take out 4 Mox Opal, but I still think that is going to be a damning problem with the build. But this was pretty enjoyable to play. I hope you all watched it. If you have any thoughts about, how this deck could be adjusted to patch up some of the weaknesses, throw those down in the comments below. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.